It's a Tuesday afternoon. Your 6-year-old is on the living room floor, building something out of cushions and a broom handle. There's cereal in their hair. They've been at it for 40 minutes without a single adult telling them what to do. And somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet voice says, "Shouldn't they be doing something more educational?" Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. That moment, the one that looks like nothing might be doing more for your child's brain than any app, flashcard, or expensive enrichment class you could possibly buy them. Because the science of how children actually become smarter is almost the opposite of what most of us were told. If you're a parent right now, you're being sold something every single day. A screen program that promises to raise your child's IQ, a tutor for a 4-year-old, a baby with an iPad strapped to the stroller because someone convinced you that downtime equals falling behind. And it's wearing you out. Because in the back of your mind, there's this fear that if you're not constantly stimulating them, constantly teaching them, constantly optimizing their day, you're letting them fall behind. You're not imagining that pressure. It's real, and it's relatively new. Here's the thing. Research in developmental neuroscience tells us that children's brains don't grow through pressure. They grow through connection, play, and the right kind of low-stakes challenge. The brain literally builds new pathways, what scientists call neuroplasticity, when a child is curious, safe, and given the chance to make their own choices. Which means the most powerful, brain-boosting activities aren't expensive. They're not complicated. And most of them don't look anything like school. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 activities that are genuinely backed by research in child development. Activities that strengthen memory, focus, language, emotional regulation, and the kind of creative problem-solving that defines what we actually mean when we call someone smart. None of them require a screen, none of them require a workbook, and you can start most of them today, in the next hour, in your living room. Let's go. Activity 1. Unstructured pretend play. This is the one most parents underestimate. When your child turns a cardboard box into a spaceship, or pretends a wooden spoon is a microphone, or spends an hour being the mom to a stuffed giraffe, their brain is doing something extraordinary. Pretend play activates what psychologists call executive function, the network of skills that governs planning, self-control, flexible thinking, and working memory. These are the exact skills that predict academic success far more reliably than early reading scores do. Here's how to support it. Don't direct, don't correct. If your 4-year-old tells you the couch is a volcano, your only job is to ask, "What happens if we touch it?" That's it. You just became part of the most powerful cognitive workout your child will do this week. Activity 2. Reading aloud even after they can read. Most parents stop reading aloud around age 7 or 8, the moment kids become independent readers. That's a mistake. When you read aloud to a child, whether they're 5 or 11, you expose them to vocabulary and sentence structures that are years ahead of what they could tackle alone. Their listening comprehension is always operating above their reading level. That gap is where their brain stretches. Try this. Pick a book one grade level above where they're reading now. Read a chapter a night. Stop occasionally and ask, "What do you think is going to happen?" Don't quiz them. Wonder with them. You're not teaching. You're giving their brain a workout disguised as a cuddle. Activity 3. Movement before hard thinking. Here's something that changed how I think about this. The brain and the body are not separate systems. They're one system. And physical movement, especially the kind that crosses the midline of the body, activates regions of the brain that are crucial for learning. Before any activity that requires focus, homework, a musical instrument, a long car ride, try 10 minutes of movement, jumping jacks, dancing, a quick obstacle course in the hallway, climbing something. Children who move before they concentrate actually concentrate better. Pediatric researchers have shown it again and again. It sounds counterintuitive. You want them to sit still, so you let them move first? Yes, that's exactly the trick. Activity 4. Music and rhythm games. You don't need to sign your child up for violin lessons. You need a pot and a wooden spoon. Rhythm clapping patterns, tapping a beat, singing along to a song does something remarkable to the developing brain. It strengthens the auditory pathways that later support reading, because reading is, at its core, the ability to hear and separate sounds inside words. Try this tonight. Clap a pattern, clap, clap, pause, clap. Ask your child to copy it. Then, let them clap one for you. Gradually make it more complex. It takes 90 seconds. It builds the same neural circuits that phonics programs try to force 6 months from now. Activity 5. Cook together. Put a child on a stool in your kitchen, and you've given them a live lab in sequencing, measurement, cause and effect, patience, and reading comprehension. Pour the half cup into the bowl. Now crack 2 eggs. Stir until it's smooth. How will we know when it's smooth? That single recipe is a full executive function workout. Planning, following steps, adjusting when something goes wrong, waiting for a timer. These are the exact skills that separate children who can sit through a classroom from those who can't. And here's the part most parents miss. It doesn't matter if the pancakes come out lumpy. The mess is the learning. Let them crack the egg. Let them get flour on the floor. The neural pathway only forms when they do it themselves. Activity 6. Open-ended building. Lego, blocks, magnet tiles, a stack of cardboard boxes and some tape. Anything that can be combined, stacked, and rearranged without a predetermined endpoint. Open-ended building activates spatial reasoning, the ability to picture objects in 3 dimensions, rotate them mentally, and predict how they'll fit together. Spatial reasoning, by the way, is one of the strongest predictors of later ability in science, math, and engineering. But here's the key. No instructions. If your child wants to build a house, don't show them what a house looks like. Let them build a house with 7 doors and no roof. That asymmetric, weird little house is their brain practicing the most valuable skill they'll ever develop, thinking about something that doesn't exist yet. Activity 7. Nature walks with no agenda. Take your child outside with no plan, no destination, no park with equipment, just a sidewalk, a patch of grass, a creek, a field, whatever you have. What happens in nature is something researchers call attention restoration. The natural environment contains what they describe as soft fascination, small, varied stimuli, like moving leaves, insects, textures that allow the brain to rest and recover from the hyper-focused, hyper-stimulated state most children live in all day. Children who spend regular time outdoors show measurably improved focus, lower stress hormones, and better creative problem-solving. Your only job on this walk is to move slowly enough for them to stop when they want. Follow their lead. Look at what they look at. That's the entire activity. Activity 8. What if storytelling? At dinner, on a car ride, before bed. Ask one open-ended what-if question, and then listen. What if all the animals in the zoo could talk for one day? What if you woke up tomorrow and gravity only worked for half the day? What if our house had one secret room that nobody knew about? This kind of storytelling activates what neuroscientists call the default mode network, the brain system that's active during imagination, empathy, and abstract thinking. It's one of the last brain networks to fully develop, and it's responsible for much of what we call creativity and insight. You don't need to shape the story. You don't need to make it make sense. Just ask, and let the answer be weirder than you expected. That weirdness is the brain stretching. Activity 9. Strategy games and puzzles. Card games, checkers, age-appropriate puzzles, dominoes. Memory matching games with cards flipped upside down. What these have in common is that they force a child to hold multiple pieces of information in mind, weigh options, and think one step ahead. That's working memory, the mental scratch pad they use for everything from doing mental math to following a 2-step instruction. Start small. A 4-year-old can play memory match. A 6-year-old can play Uno. An 8-year-old can play chess, surprisingly well, if you let them lose a few times first. And this is where it gets really interesting. When they lose, don't let them win back. Losing is part of the cognitive workout. The disappointment, the next try adjustment, that's the brain learning flexibility, which is one of the most important cognitive skills a human ever develops. Activity 10. The boredom slot. This is the one I want you to remember most. Schedule a block of time, at least 30 minutes, when your child has nothing to do. No screen, no scheduled activity, no adult-led entertainment. Just them, some basic materials, paper, markers, a few toys and their own mind. The first 10 minutes will be uncomfortable. They may whine. They may demand something. Stay kind, but firm. What happens next is magic. Their brain, forced to stop consuming and start generating, will activate that same default mode network we talked about. They will invent. They will build. They will dream up scenarios that don't exist. They may even just stare at the ceiling, which is, neurologically speaking, one of the most underrated cognitive activities in human life. Boredom is not empty time. Boredom is the soil where curiosity and original thought grow, and children who never experience it grow into adults who can't tolerate a single quiet moment. Don't rob them of this. Here's what I want to leave you with. Your child doesn't need a genius maker program. Your child doesn't need to be drilled, tested, optimized, or enriched with something expensive. The research is almost embarrassingly clear. The things that build powerful young brains are cheap, slow, a little messy, and often look like nothing from the outside. They look like a kid in the kitchen, flour on the floor. They look like a pile of blocks that took an hour to stack. They look like a story about a shark who runs a bakery. They look like you, on a walk, with no destination. If you have ever felt deep in your chest that modern parenting asks too much, that you're supposed to be educator, coach, stimulator, and therapist, all at once, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to do more. In fact, for your child's brain, doing a little less and connecting a little more is the whole secret. Your child isn't behind, and you aren't failing. The conditions for genius have been in your home the entire time. If this video helped you see brain development differently, hit subscribe. I post every week about the psychology behind parenting's hardest moments and the science that takes the pressure off. And I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 activities is your child already doing, and which one are you going to try this week? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one.